Hello my dear student. Today we will discuss the type of chemical reaction. There are different type of chemical reaction. Here we explain with their names. And they are combination, decomposition, single displacement, double displacement, redox, endothermic, exothermic, precipitation and neutralization. These are all type of chemical reaction. Now we will discuss it with their definition and example. Let's move. Before explaining the definition of all type of chemical reaction, I must say that please write it in your copy and learn it, because this is very necessary for this chapter for balancing the chemical equation. Okay, let's discuss the definition of chemical equation. What do you mean by chemical equation? The substance that undergo chemical change in the reaction and express this in an equation is called a chemical equation. That means when the substance that undergo the chemical change in a reaction then expressed in a equation, so it is called a chemical equation. That means during reaction time the substance will change and express in equation form, then it's called a chemical equation. This is the simple definition of chemical equation. Here the example is, so when sodium react with chlorine, then it's form a sodium chlorine, but we need to balance it. Balance, that means equal it. When we equal it, then it's called a balance equation or a balance equation of a chemical or a chemical equation. Okay, this let's move the another definition, combination reaction. What do you mean by combination reaction? When two or more substances combine and form a single product, the reactant are called combined reaction. That means when two or more substances combine and or form a single product, then this reaction is called a combination reaction. That means you already mean that when two or more substances combine and form a single product, this is called a combination reaction. This is the example of this reaction. Another is exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction in a reaction in which heat is released along with the formation of product are called exothermic reaction. That means during reaction time there is a release of heat along with the formation of product, then this reaction is called an exothermic reaction. That means there is a release of heat. This is called a exothermic reaction. There is a release of heat. Here already mentioned example. Okay, let's move. Another is decomposition reaction. What do you mean by decomposition reaction? A single reactant break down and give a decomposition reaction. A single reactant break down to give simple product. This reaction is a decomposition reaction. That means when a reactant break down to give a simple product, then it is called a decomposition reaction. Here is an example of it. How the calcium copper reaction during reaction and break down into two pieces and form a new simpler product, that is calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. The another is endothermic. Exothermic, we already read this. There is a realization of heat, but there is a absorb of energy. In this reaction in which energy is absorbed are known as an endothermic reaction. Let's move another. Displacement reaction. What do we mean by displacement reaction? The reaction one element has displaced or removed another element. This reaction is known as displacement reaction. That means there is a displacement of element to the another, then it's called a displacement reaction. Suppose, and as example we taken, when the iron reaction with copper sulfate, then it's form a iron sulfate and copper. In this reaction, iron is displaced or remove another element, copper from copper sulfate. There is a displacement of iron. So it is called a displacement reaction. There is a displacement of iron. And the another is double displacement. That means there is double time displacement of ions. In this reaction, there is exchange of ions between the reactant are called displacement reaction. That means there is exchange of what? Exchange of ions between what? Reactant are called a displacement reaction. Suppose that let's move on the example. When sodium sulfate react with barium chloride, then it's form a barium sulfate. That means there is exchange of what? Ions, and the sodium and it's form a sodium chloride. Then that means barium exchange sulfate and sodium change chlorine. There is a exchange of ion, so it is called a what's a displacement reaction. Another one, what do you mean by precipitate reaction? In this reaction, the substance is added to water. That substance is insoluble in water and get down to the bottom of container. That means in this reaction, water is insoluble substance. When the water is added with the substance and substance is insoluble in water, then it get down to the bottom of the container. Then this process is called a precipitate. Suppose here we see an example. When sodium sulfate reaction with the barium chlorine, then it's form a barium sulfate and sodium chloride. That means sodium is a liquid form, but it is an insoluble substance in water and get down of the bottom of the container. That means it is barium is an insoluble substance. Okay, that means in water the substance is insoluble in water, so and get down in the bottom of the container, so it is called a precipitation. I think our today topic is complete. No, there is n more. Oxidation means you already you can know, because oxidation is must be there is a presence of oxygen by name, and reduction, that means something reduction. But in exam is always ask the differences between oxidation and reduction. So come to know what is the differences. Oxidation means when oxygen is added in a reaction is called a oxidation. But reduction means if substance loses oxygen during a reaction, it is called a reduction. That means oxidation is a gain of oxygen and reduction is a loss of oxygen. This is the differences. Oxygen is gained in oxidation reaction and oxygen is loses in reduction. This is the differences. Okay, this is a definition, and differences is also is there. In oxidation is gain and in reduction oxygen is loses during the time of reaction. Okay, and there, what do you mean by rusting? It is a very simple, and you know already what do you mean by rusting. That means when the iron, suppose when we keep a iron in the outside in the presence of air, then it must be rust. That means it's become a brownish color. So we can say that it's a rusting of iron. But if we apply a paint or oil or a rusting day by day, then the iron will never rust. So for protecting the iron, we must apply a color paint, which is used with the oil and the rusting, so the iron never rust. This is the definition, simple definition of iron. That means when a metal keep in the outside, then it's become a reddish color, then this process is called a rusting or a rusting of iron. Simple. And the corrosion I will say in a simple way. Suppose if we keep a food on outside or a moisture area, then the smell of food or a taste of food is totally different. That means there is changes is occur when the substance, suppose here already a definition is given. When a metal is attacked by the substance around it, such a moisture acid, it's said to be corrode, or this process is corrosion. This is a corrosion definition. That means when the metal is attract with a air or a moisture, then it corrode or a damage, then it's called a corrosion in a simple way. And another is there is a totally finish, no more definition. I hope you all understand this all definition with their example, because I trying to explain in a very easy way. If you not understand, then tell me where I done the mistakes, because I am also the human being. I must do a mistake. So please learn this all definition with their example, because during exam time all definition is asked with their example. If not also asked to give an example, then also we give the example, because if you mention the example with their definition, you got the full mark. So please mention the definition along with example. It will be very 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 good for securing the mark in your exam. So thank you for watching my video, and continue my watching my video. So keep going and keep growing and keep learning. Thank you so much.